Hi there, Ben here at Number Group, here to go over the hunt group or group options within Luna PBX. Hunt groups, or groups as we refer to them as, are a more powerful way of managing calls coming into your PBX solution and allows you to access more advanced features and basically handle your calls in a better way. So the first thing you need to do in order to configure and view the settings for groups is to go to Luna PBX, and you'll see here at the top you have a bunch of settings. Your extension list is obviously under the Extensions tab, and groups are located right next to it. So let's dive straight into it. If you create a new group, you want to click this option here. You'll see a group will then be added, and it'll give it a generic name, usually based upon the number here. As with extensions, you can change the extension number if you wish to do so, as long as it obviously doesn't clash with anything else. You can rename it. You can also change the group email address, which I'll refer back to later on. A welcome prompt, which is used for when people call through or put through to the group. This prompt is played to the people, everyone who comes through to it. Call recording profile, which is required for GDPR rated bases. An option to hide from the system phone book, and tags, which basically allow you to use multiple additional integrations and allow for extended reporting. Ringing options, hunting options, business hours, and the queuing options at the bottom. So let's just say we want to use this as a standard hunt group, which basically means you're calling through to a select number of extensions with no other special features attached to it. You add the extensions you want to ring from the drop-down lists here. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, we want to add customer services. The 3 customer services extensions have been added. The hunt mode allows you to specify how they're rung. Either ring together, ring in turn above order, or ring in turn evenly. Once you've done the changes, you click Save. And that is now applied. Your hunt group has now been created, and the extensions here will be rung together for the total amount of time of 210 seconds, which is stated here. If you wish to ring it for a shorter amount of time, you can change it accordingly. Please bear in mind that as this is a PBX, you can extend the ringing time to a longer period. However, most PSTN networks will not allow you to ring for longer than 210 seconds, as they will then time out the call. So bear in mind, we would normally not advise you to set these timers above 210 seconds. If you use ring in turn, this option here is used to specify how long each extension is rung before the next one is tried. And this option is also used to say how long the entire group should be called before it is terminated. So in this case, each extension will be called for 20 seconds until the total time of 60 seconds has been reached, and then the hunt group will be exited. The option here allows you to change how the caller's number is presented to the phone on the PBX. You can either have the caller's number, the group name, the group extension number, or alternatively, the called number and the caller's number. So this will present the number that they originally called and also their number as well. As it all changes, make sure you click Save at the bottom once you're done. At the bottom here, you have some options about how to handle calls that are not answered. So you can either exit the group and keep processing, which basically means it will exit back to the number that the call has been diverted from, and the following settings from there. Alternatively, you can send a group email and disconnect the call, or you can take a message. This is basically a voicemail function. So if you want to set a voicemail, you can just select a prompt from here, click OK, and click Save. Bear in mind, you would need to specify a group email address here so we know where to send the email to. So now, when people come through to this group, each extension will be run for 20 seconds until the total number of 60 seconds has been expired. If no one answers the call, we'll send it to voicemail. If they take a message, and then send that transcript through to that email address there. There are additional options that we can obviously use. Business hours. This allows you to change when the group is open or closed, and also specifying special times for things like holidays. So let's just say we want to set some custom times. Go to Custom and click on Manage. And here you'll see something similar to the time of day system. So you're allowed to select closed all day, open all day, and open select hours. So these allow you to set your open and close times. You can also specify holidays here. Holidays are basically specified on an individual basis. So if you want to create a new holiday, you click this, you add the date where the holiday is. So let's just say we want to add Christmas. Which is basically saying the holiday is from midnight on the 25th to 11:59 on the 25th. So we can now see the holiday has been specified there. And you can add additional holidays if you should want to. And you can add as many as you should want. You can also share these holidays. You can share these and just call them as whatever you want to. And there we go. You now see generic opening times is now there. And it's basically saved upon different options within here. So you can specify different holidays and time of day open times according to whatever you need. And these will be accessible for all your groups within your PBX. You have additional options here to specify what happens when you are closed. So you can use the same options as you have at the bottom. So you can exit the group and keep processing, send a group email and disconnect the call, or alternatively take a voicemail message. Once again, you set the voicemail message is set here. The final thing we can go over, we'll just turn this off, is call queuing. As it stands, when a call comes through to this, we are still effectively ringing. We're not actually answering the call. If you want to answer the call and queue it, so you have more chance to answer the call, especially if you've got a busier call center or something like that, you can enable call queuing. If you change this option to yes, a lot more options appear. So when people come through, they'll be played the welcome prompt. So you can have a welcome meeting, a welcome greeting even, or something like that, or nothing if you wish. The queue holding prompt is music that is played over the top or while people are waiting. If it is left empty, we'll play it the generic one that's associated with the PBX. If you want to change it to something else, you can do so from within the system. Here. Prioritize callers allow you to prioritize people based upon a numbering basis, which is linked to integrations and so on and so forth, and the number. Periodic announcements allow you to play prompts to people periodically. So you could, for example, play apologies for the delay in waiting. You could play customer service related prompts to advise to point people to websites, something like that. It's up to you. You can do whatever you want. You can specify every 30 seconds, every minute, every 90 seconds, or every 2 minutes. And you can also specify the timer. So it's either from the start of the call or from the end of the period. You can specify up to 3 periodic prompts here. If you want to have position announcements, you can specify that here. You can either have position in queue or announce an estimated wait time. Please bear in mind, this will only work if you have at least one periodic announcement enabled. So if you have no periodic announcements enabled and you turn this on, this feature will not work. If you want to allow callers to mute the music, you can set this option to yes. And if you want to add a prompt, which basically gives people the options on how to do that, you can specify that here. If that's not set, we will play a generic message that outlines these options here. And if you also want to specify a prompt that's played when the queue has been muted, you can specify that prompt here. Once again, we have a generic prompt on the system that we will play if nothing is set. This here allows you to set the total number of people allowed to be queuing in your call queue. The smallest is 3, the largest is 50. If this max queue size is exceeded, this prompt is played, and then an unanswered call action will be taken. The max queue waiting time is how long people are allowed to wait for in the queue before they are exited out of the queue. We have anything from 20 seconds to 90 minutes. Once again, if that queue time is exceeded, this prompt here is played. And if either of these exit options are taken into account, this option here at the bottom is done. So you can either exit a group and keep processing, send a group email and disconnect, or alternatively, you can take a message. Once again, this email address here is used to send the voicemail to. The only other thing we need to go over is the call recording profiles. This is basically for GDPR purposes. So you can basically specify when a call recording is started, whether it started automatically, whether it's stopped and it must be then restarted, or if it's pre-recorded and then it's only kept if a certain digit number is pressed at the end of the call. You can specify how long the call recordings are kept for. You can specify a justification for GDPR purposes for the recording of the call. The announcement that is played to people that basically advise them of the reason for that you are actually recording the call, and whether you need to obtain a consent from the person before or after you start the call. So you have the options of no at the start of the call, or when the call recording is initiated. This basically allows you to give options to your agents to either manually confirm that the caller is happy for them to record the call, so they will then enable the call recording based upon this option here, and they'll then play this recording announcement to say that the call recording has started. Alternatively, you can have people opt in or opt out depending on your options. Finally, you have the controls at the bottom here. So you can either allow agents to delete the call recording, to start it, or to pause it. Pausing call recording obviously is useful for card taking purposes and so on and so forth if you're not allowed to record certain details that you're taking within the call. If you give it a name, and click save. Oh, I have to provide justification, don't we? And we have additional options here based upon the justification you have specified. So the recording announcement, the option to obtain consent. Obviously these options change depending on what option you choose. All the prompts we have already on the system, but if you want to upload your own, you can do so. And you also have the options that if consent is declined, you can end the call. And you can also inform the callee of the consent of the call recording if you choose to do so. Once all said and done, click save. And you'll see you now have your call recording profile on there. The only other option we have is the Overflow to second tier. So this basically allows you to send the call on to another tier of extensions if the initial list of people are not answered. So if you want to, you can specify that after 60 seconds, which is our initial ring time, we can overflow to the sales extensions, for example. Click save. And those are the group options. One other thing to make you aware of is the way that the group system works within the PBX is quite complex. If you send calls onto a group, which you basically do so by choosing the PBX you're using and selecting the group here, this will usually take preference over any other option. So for example, if you set an external number and you set these to ring together, The system will always use the PBX option first. The number is basically essentially ignored because the PBX has to capture the call in order to send it to a queue or a hunt group. If you use IVR options, this doesn't apply. But we do have people that try and do this and they find out that the calling to the number doesn't always work. If, however, you use ring and turn, this doesn't apply. It only applies if you're using ring together, then the PBX option will usually always be the one that will be rung and the number will be ignored until the PBX group is exited out of, and then this will be attempted afterwards. And that's it. If you have any more questions or any problems with regarding to the hunt group system within Selfcare, then please let us know at help@numbergroup.com, or alternatively, give us a call on 0800 3 10 10 10. Thanks very much for your time.